All right, let's get right into it. For so many of us, that morning cup of coffee is just automatic. It's how we start the day. But what if that simple habit, that ritual, could be so much more than just a jolt of energy? In this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how you can turn your daily coffee into a science-backed protocol for living a longer, healthier life.
I know, it sounds a little out there, right? Like something from a sci-fi movie. But the science is actually pretty compelling, and we're not just talking about feeling younger, we're talking about actually reprogramming your cells to act younger. So could this drink really be slowing down aging on a fundamental biological level? Well, let's take a look. So what's the secret? How does coffee pull this off inside our bodies? Well, it all comes down to a really fascinating idea that's a much better measure of your health than just counting birthdays.
And that idea is your epigenetic age. Think of it this way. Your chronological age is simply how many years you've been on the planet. But your epigenetic age? That's how fast your body is actually breaking down on the inside. It's a real-time measurement of your cellular health. And that's the number that really counts when we're talking about longevity. So how much of a difference are we talking about? Well, one major study found something incredible. For every single cup of coffee you drink per day, it's associated with winding back your biological clock by 0.7 years. Now, that's not a small thing. That's a consistent, measurable sign that coffee is actually influencing how your genes express themselves to keep you younger. And if you look at it from another angle, it gets even more impressive. People who drink 3 or more cups a day have, get this, a 34 to 41% lower chance of their biological clock ticking faster than their real age. This isn't just a minor boost. It shows coffee seems to provide some serious protection against the very process of aging too quickly.
And a big reason why is right here. A proper, randomized, controlled trial found that drinking dark roast coffee every day cut down on DNA double-stranded breaks by an amazing 23% compared to just drinking water. Now, these aren't just any old breaks. They're one of the most dangerous forms of damage to your genetic code, the kind that can directly lead to serious problems and speed up aging.
Okay, so we've seen what coffee does deep down at the cellular level. But what does that mean for you in the real world? How does that translate to your actual health? Well, it turns out that all this cellular protection acts like a powerful shield against some of the biggest diseases we're all trying to avoid.
This stat is just huge. A 27% lower risk of dying from any cause. Researchers have even calculated that this could translate to nearly 2 extra years of life. And what's really fascinating is that even decaf shows a similar benefit. That tells us that whatever is doing the heavy lifting here, it's not just the caffeine, it's the other powerful compounds in the coffee.
You know, for years, a lot of people thought coffee was bad for your heart. Well, the science is in, and it shows the complete opposite is true. Drinking coffee regularly is linked to a 10 to 15% lower risk of cardiovascular disease. It seems to actively help protect against things like heart attacks and strokes.
But where coffee's protective power really shines is with our metabolism. Drinking just 2 to 3 cups a day can slash your risk of developing type 2 diabetes by up to 60%. That is a massive reduction. And it does this, in part, by helping to turn on a key metabolic sensor in our cells, which makes our bodies way more efficient at handling blood sugar.
So the evidence is pretty clear, right? The benefits are there. But, and this is a big but, to really get them, you have to be smart about it. Because it turns out the way you make your coffee can totally change what's actually in your cup and ultimately how it affects your health.
To really get why the brewing method matters, we need to talk chemistry for just a second. In every coffee bean, you've got 2 main groups of compounds, the good guys and the bad guys. The good guys are the polyphenols. They're amazing antioxidants. The bad guys are something called diterpenes. They're these oily molecules that can seriously jack up your LDL, your bad cholesterol. The secret weapon? A simple paper filter. It's perfectly designed to trap those oily bad guys while letting all the good stuff just flow right through.
So what does that mean for you? It means any method that uses a paper filter, like a simple pour-over or a drip coffee machine, is the absolute gold standard for health. You get all the benefits, none of the cholesterol risk. Instant coffee, believe it or not, also does really well in studies. Now, espresso is a bit of a special case. It's loaded with antioxidants, but since it's unfiltered, it's also high in those diterpenes. So definitely best to enjoy that one in moderation.
Okay, so now we know how to brew our coffee for a longer life. The next question is, what should we be brewing? Because the type of coffee bean you start with can make a really big difference in how many of those good compounds you get.
So the two big players on the world stage are Arabica and Robusta. Now, if your #1 goal is maximizing the health benefits, Robusta is the clear winner. No contest. It has about 60% more of those key antioxidants we want, plus more caffeine. Arabica, on the other hand, is the one most people prefer for its sweeter, smoother flavor. So here's your quick cheat sheet for your next trip to the coffee aisle. For max benefits, go for Robusta. If you just can't give up that Arabica flavor, try to find beans grown near the equator. The intense sun there makes the plants produce more of those protective polyphenols. And whatever you choose, always go for a light to medium roast. That dark, oily roast, it's actually burning off a lot of the good stuff.
All right, we've got the right beans. We've got the right brewing method. Now for the final piece of the puzzle. How to time your coffee to optimize your mind and your body for peak performance every single day.
When it comes to coffee, timing really is everything. Studies show that the longevity benefits are strongest when coffee is drunk only in the morning. See, when you have caffeine later in the day, it messes with your internal body clock. It's like giving yourself a tiny dose of jet lag every afternoon. So the ideal protocol is simple. Drink your 2 to 3 cups in the morning and then cut yourself off completely by noon at the absolute latest.
Now, for one last, simple, but really powerful upgrade. We all know that caffeine can sometimes bring on a little anxiety or those classic coffee jitters. But what if you could get all of that laser focus and mental clarity with none of the downsides?
Well, the answer is a compound called L-theanine. It's an amino acid you find in green tea that's known for creating a kind of calm, alert focus. And when you combine it with caffeine, you get this incredible synergy. It's like all the alertness from the coffee gets smoothed out by the calm from the L-theanine. And studies back this up. The combination is shown to boost attention and reaction time, all while lowering anxiety. So when you put it all together, it's pretty clear that coffee isn't just a drink, it's a tool. As longevity expert Dr. Rhonda Patrick puts it, it's a scientifically supported intervention. By really understanding the science, choosing the right beans, using a filter, timing it right, and maybe even adding a little L-theanine, you can absolutely transform your daily habit into a powerful protocol for your health. And this isn't just some interesting theory, right? This is a practical guide you could start using first thing tomorrow morning. Maybe it's just switching to a paper filter, or trying a lighter roast, or maybe just deciding to make noon your hard cutoff for caffeine. Even one small change can make a really big difference over time. So the only question left is, what's your first step going to be?